Joe Biden has officially dropped out of the 2024 presidential race and will not be seeking re-election against former President Donald Trump. He had posted this letter on Twitter stating how he will not run for re-election. And we can see here that he had said that America is very strong, about how all these achievements that he made, which are obviously not true according to this. It's all coping, cope. And then he said he's going to have a speech later this week about his decision. He did not, in this letter, actually nominate Harris and pass the torch to her. However, he did end up doing that in a later tweet where he actually endorsed the Vice President Kamala Harris for President of the United States. So I think the consensus is right now that Kamala Harris will end up being that VP. And this spells a lot of trouble for Democrats because in many ways, she is more unpopular than Biden. But we have to see what's going to happen with that. I wanted to make this video really quickly because this news is very, very important. And I will get into a map of my prediction now, which will be updated between Trump and Harris instead of Trump and Biden. But first, let's continue to dive into some details about this. It says here that Joe Biden has endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris to beat Donald Trump in the 2024 election. And it says here that they're going to come together and beat him, and they think they can do this. And the first thing that comes to my head is, how will this even be possible to grab and maintain and really grasp such a huge effort of a campaign and pick a VP so late in the game? It's almost like 100 days left until the election. So it's going to be very, very hard for them to even put this together in such a short amount of time. And why the Democrats even, did this at such a late stage of the game, I really don't know. The convention is coming up next month, and they're going to have issues. Some states have already put Biden on the ballot, and they're going to have a lot of legal issues trying to change it to Kamala Harris because they have passed that deadline. But that's something that we're going to continue to monitor as we go through this next following weeks. And we're going to see what happens. Some people say that Kamala Harris might not even be the nominee. She has posted a video. She had posted a tweet on Twitter detailing how she accepts the nomination. And we're really going to have to see what happens. Who's going to be her VP pick and that all mess. It's going to be such a mess for this to all unfold. But in my eyes, I do think that she end up will being the nominee. Who she picks as her VP, I don't really know. It could be Pete Buttigieg or Andy Beshear. Gavin Newsom is out there. He's from the same state, though, so I don't know if they'd want to do that. But it's going to be someone who is probably white, who can probably appeal to, the Midwest. She's from California, and I can tell you her approval rating is, something like in the 30s, I think lower than Joe Biden. So I don't see how this would be a smart choice at all as of now. But we need to continue to see it. Now, there had been polls released between Trump and Harris, and, it's a similar story with Trump versus Biden. Trump's just up by a pretty decent amount. He's up by 2 percentage points in the head-to-head, and in the five-way race, he is up by a little bit larger than that, around 5 percentage points. A lot of these polls, have been released to, the extent of, what we have. There haven't been too many, but now that we, think that she's going to be the new nominee, and it's crazy how we're this late into the election cycle and we don't know who the Democrats are going to put up. So we're going to see what happens there, but the total incompetency of the party themselves, the constant lying to their own people. All these people voted for Biden for the nominee, and he's just going to step out like that this late stage in the game after all this talk about him staying and him being the nominee. And it's pretty evident, that how that they lied so much about this whole situation. And even, you don't even need to be a Republican to know this. You just sit there and you think, all this time they've been telling us that Joe Biden's competent, that Joe Biden's awake, he's not senile, and all this and all that. He's going to be the nominee. His own family saying that. All Obama's and Gavin Newsom and Harris coming out and saying that he's going to be the nominee. And then, this comes out on the 21st of July, which is really close to their own convention. So we're going to continue to monitor what happens here. But let's get to this map now between Harris and Trump and what I believe is going to happen. Same rules as always. The safe margin is going to be that 12 pointer up, and then we got the likely 6 to 12, the lean 2 to 6, and the tilt less than 2. So safe states for Harris. She's definitely going to secure the state of California. One area where I think she's going to do well in is the West Coast, and that's why all those states are going to be safe. I think Illinois will be safe. And a lot of these other states over here will be safe as well, apart from the states of New York and New Jersey. Both of these states now, I think, will fall into that likely column, especially New Jersey, since we've seen polling that's even had Trump up in it. Now, states that Trump will win by 12 percentage points or more are going to be all of the usual states that he wins, all of Nebraska except the second. He's going to take Iowa and Ohio very, very easily in this prediction, especially since Kamala Harris, I think, will be doing worse in the Midwest, Maine 2nd District. And this is going to be our safe map for both of them, 149 to 139. Usually Democrats are higher with safe states, but I think now, especially after the disarray of the Democratic Party, not even having their nominee 100 days out from the election, it's definitely going to spell trouble for them. And it's not that they'll not win their own party. They'll still consolidate their party. You know, the donors are going to come to Kamala Harris, and they already are. All the money is going to flood in for sure. But the problem is those independent voters, are they going to be convinced? Can they trust the Democrats? Can they trust Kamala after all this deceivement that's been going on? And the thing is, why would Biden continue to run as president? He didn't say he was stepping down as president. He says here that he will stay as president until January, where the next president will take over. And so this doesn't make sense to me. Is he going to step down as president now, just not to run for re-election because he can't win? It just doesn't make sense. Why doesn't he just step down in general and right now and just resign as president and let Kamala take over? There's so many questions that definitely need to be answered, but the events that have been unfolding in the past week, I think, have been so momentous for Trump. I don't even know what the Democrats can do. I don't know what they should be doing, but I don't know what's going on between the party itself, but right now I think they are so unfavored to win the election as a whole. Likely states for Kamala Harris, obviously we're going to put New Jersey and the state of New York in there. These are going to be now, I think, in that middle range, 8 to 10 for both of them. Kamala Harris has no appeal to anywhere else in the country beside the West Coast in my eyes. Her approval rating is like 37% on DDHQ/The Hill. Trump will win the states of Texas and Florida very easily. I could even see these states being safe, but we don't have enough polling to say that as of now. And when this gets updated between Trump and Harris instead of Trump and Biden, as well as all these over here, then we'll be able to look at some polls that are going to be more accurate, and they're going to be able to come in really, really soon in the next week or so, and I'll go over them when they come out. I think right now the state of North Carolina is going to be moving into that likely column. It's going to be around 6 percentage points in my eyes. For the lean states for not Joe Biden, for Kamala Harris. I'm so used to saying Joe Biden, but she'll win the state of Colorado, I think, in that lean margin. Colorado's a very left-trending state, so I think either way it will stay in that column. It'll be probably around a 5-point win, similar to the Hillary Clinton's win in 2016. I think Trump will once again sweep the Sun Belt, all these states, by lean margins. And it's not even going to be anything close going on. Same thing in these states. Kamala Harris has no appeal. Some people may say she's an African-American woman. She'll have appeal to a lot of these African-American voters. And that right now I don't think is even the truth, since she's not even approved by them. Her reputation in her own state is pretty horrible to begin with. And this is going to be our closest states once again. We're going to have New Mexico, the Rust Belt quadruple states, Virginia, Nebraska second, Maine at large, and New Hampshire. Kamala Harris will inch out New Mexico by a tilt margin, probably around 1 to 2 percentage points. I think right now she'll still inch out the state of Virginia by the same amount, and the state of Maine at large. I think all of these are going to be very close. Even between Trump and Biden, the state of Virginia was actually in Trump's favor. In real clear politics, Trump leads the aggregate. Kamala Harris will not do any better than Biden in the state. It'll probably be a similar amount, around 1 to 2 percentage points. And moving on now to the most important states up here, it's going to be the Rust Belt. And first of all, I'm going to say that I think Kamala Harris still is favored narrowly in Nebraska second, while Trump will carry the state of New Hampshire by a tilt margin. I think New Hampshire, especially the people there, are very elastic, as well as in Maine. So the people in New Hampshire are not going to want a candidate like Kamala Harris, especially since she is not that generic Democrat. She's coming in as Joe Biden's VP, now running for president, and people already really dislike the presidency as a whole, and that includes her. It's not like she's a generic Democrat, fresh new blood coming in, and so it's not going to be any different. The Trump campaign is going to tackle her on those same issues for all those same issues. She failed to secure the border, and the immigration problem and the foreign policy and the economy. I mean, nothing's going to change. The only thing that the Trump campaign is going to have to change is the attack on Joe Biden's age, since that will not be working out anymore. But Donald Trump has been saving up all of his money. His campaign, the RNC, have been saving up their money. They haven't been spending money on Joe Biden. I don't know if they saw this coming, but now they can really dish out all their money in attacking Kamala Harris. And I'm really looking forward to some sort of debate coming out, and for Kamala Harris to announce a VP pick, so late in the stage, obviously, but we'll get there eventually. But finally, to this Rust Belt, not trio, but 4 Rust Belt states, all of them right now, I think, are tilting in Trump's favor. I think actually the state of Pennsylvania and the state of Wisconsin could be moved into that lean column. I'm not really too sure what the margins will be, since once again, there's not much polling. The polling we do have does have Trump up in all these states except the state of Minnesota, which I don't think has too much polling at all with these two candidates. But in Trump versus Biden, it is like a pretty much complete tie right now, and that's going to be what the map looks like as of now, in my opinion. 326 to 212. It doesn't really change too much from Biden and Trump because of how unpopular Biden is to begin with, and how unpopular Kamala Harris is. And now, before I close out this video, we do have some more data to go over surrounding Kamala Harris. On 538, her approval rating, as I said, 38%, 50% disapproval rating. This is absolutely horrible. Pretty much on par with Joe Biden. And we check her favorable ratings. We can see here, same thing, extremely unfavorable. ABC had released a poll having her at 32% favorable and 55% unfavorable. And this came out actually a couple days ago, actually. So this is not really looking good at all for the Democrats right now, but we're going to have to continue to see what happens, and we're going to, see what they end up doing. Right now, this is what the map looks like, but thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, comment down in the section below, and I'll check you guys out in the next one.